I don't know if you're familiar with Celador, Bill Hudson and Mike Ramillo and those guys. I talk to them online a lot, and Bill Hudson's always posting about, I, I miss doing this full time, but you just can't. There's no money in metal anymore. Even the really
Yeah.
really big bands aren't making really really big money. Like you see Lamb of God on stage, and they're a big band, but they're not making as much as people think they're making.
No, not at all.
So it's unfortunate. But anyway, so the Metal Sucks community seems to be really interested in your Nevermore song, but I'm a lot more interested in hearing more about Robot Zombie Army.
Oh, yeah.
Would you mind telling us
Okay.
a little bit how that project got started?
Robot Zombie Army was dreamed up as something completely different than it ended up being. I was in 10th grade, and I was just learning how to record music on my really crappy old computer, using a webcam microphone, which barely worked, and mixing music in Audacity, which is the most bare-bones free program you could ever find anywhere that barely works. And I realized at the time, I thought, well, I want to make all this music that is in my head, but I can't do it by myself. I need other people who can play more instruments. And so I enlisted like 5 or 6 friends who said they'd help me out and help me record this stuff without actually being a band. Like I could just rotate different people to help me record things, and we would be the Robot Zombie Army. There was actually more than one person supposed to be in this army that was Robot Zombie Army. And as time went on, nothing was ever recorded for the Robot Zombie Army ever. But for some reason, the name just stuck with me. It was the only name I could ever think of when I was trying to come up with what to call my own personal music as I got, a little bit better at, recording and producing things. And so rather than, trying to come up with anything actually good or serious for the music I was making, I just decided to go by Robot Zombie Army because, it sounded a little bit better than just Ben Robson. And I recorded some things a few years ago, and it just stuck ever since then. Everything I've written and recorded has just been Robot Zombie Army. And really from the start, I didn't originally intend for it to be an exclusively metal project. And like the first thing that I ever released, quote unquote, under the name Robot Zombie Army wasn't even really a metal album. It was kind of like, I say released very loosely. Like the first Robot Zombie Army album was recorded on a MacBook with no external microphone. It was just the MacBook mic, and I had no idea how to mix it, so I just used presets and forgot about it. And that was the first album there, and that wasn't even really exclusively metal. But after the Metal Stuff contest, which was the following spring after I had released that, released to like 5 people of my friends who took those CDs that I burned for them. After that, I was just inspired to go back and maybe do a full-on metal album. And it ended up being an EP because I didn't have the patience to do an entire album. But I finished it last summer and released it. And so far, a decent amount of people downloaded it, more than I expected were going to. And so I'm glad that some people enjoy the stuff that I enjoy making. It's very fulfilling. And so in long and short of it, Robot Zombie Army is basically just an outlet for whatever music is giving me an itch at the moment. Next week I might come out with an album of like acoustic songs or something, and I'd still call that Robot Zombie Army just because Robot Zombie Army is for some reason the name that I'm inclined to give everything that I do.
Well, that's awesome, man. That's a real Devin Townsend approach. And if you don't know us yet, you'll know us now. Me and Chris are diehard Devin Townsend fans. From his most mellow acoustic, stuff with Ghost to the heaviest of strapping. That's a real, that's a good way to go about it. Do whatever you want
I love
musically.
Devin Townsend. He's a huge inspiration.
Oh, I could definitely see it, man.
Yeah. So the
when I'm not ripping him off, he's inspiring me.
the 42 EP is great. What were your reasons behind remastering so soon and adding the new songs?
I just was reason that I remastered it was just I had been listening to it back to back, I'm trying to learn how to become a better producer. I'm not super good at it, obviously, but I'm trying to learn how to be a little bit better at it. And I was just listening to the way I had originally recorded it next to, other amateur bands, even not even necessarily professional musicians, but other just people that I found out about over the internet who are under similar circumstances as me. And there was just a lot of stuff that bugged me about it. Like, it was a little bit too quiet. Like, I didn't make it quite loud enough, and there was a little bit too much bass, and certain instruments were a little bit too hard to hear. So I just figured I am going to fix this and just put it up on the website, and whoever wants to hear a better version of it can hear it. And I decided to throw the Toto cover on there just because that was something I felt like recording. And the other song, the bonus track that I put on it, was honestly, I don't even remember why I wrote that one. I think I was just noodling on an acoustic guitar, and I played that thing at the little lick at the beginning, and I thought, that would be cool if I sat down and wrote that song. And so really, the only reason that I did a remaster of it so soon was just because I didn't like the way I had mastered the first one and thought that it would be to everybody's benefit if I just re-released it and made everything sound a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely sounds better this way. You also had the artwork redone. I've always been curious about what exactly the artwork is. It's
so have I.
It's fun to look at. What does it mean? Both the old one and this new guy. Is that a robot zombie from the army?
It's incredibly deep and symbolic there. No, I drew the album artwork for the 42 EP at 3 o'clock in the morning on a piece of notebook paper, and I had no idea what I was drawing. I actually based it on something I had previously drawn at 3 o'clock in the morning when I had no idea what I was drawing. Me and my younger brother happened to be awake at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was doodling on a piece of paper, and I drew a balloon man with fangs and a snake tongue and a huge monobrow. I actually forgot the monobrow when I redrew it. Sideburns but no hair, and a shark fin being held by a pterodactyl. And we decided that its name was The Drop because it was 3 o'clock in the morning. And I never drew it ever again until I decided that should be the cover of the 42 EP because I could not think of anything else for the life of me. And I figured, what is more authentic than what I draw by accident at 3 o'clock in the morning? So I just drew it and colored it in one night and just scanned it into my computer and color corrected 3 things, and that was the cover of the 42 EP. It means absolutely nothing. It's a total mess. The background is just nonsense. I think if there's any meaning to it whatsoever, the reason I titled it 42, I don't know if you've ever read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. A lot of people have.
Yeah.
But it's just the ultimate meaning of life, the universe, and everything is determined by the most powerful computer ever, he thought, was just 42. And I think that the significance of that is just that no matter how hard we try to understand things, it's still not going to make any sense because there's always going to be some level on which things are just more complicated than we can get. And that's not to demean science or anything like that. I think that's just the nature is that we will never have all of the answers. And if there is any meaning to the nonsense on the cover of the 42 EP, which there really isn't, it's just that it is a mess that really doesn't mean anything less than other album covers do, ultimately. But when I had it redone, my friend Riley, who's a graphic design major, was actually doing a project where he had to do an album cover, and he asked if he could redo the album cover because he knew that I was remastering it. And so I said, okay, sure. And then he said, okay, we have to imitate one graphic designer when we do it because that's part of the project. So I said, do Alex Jones. And Alex Gray, I'm sorry, not Alex Jones, Alex Gray. And so he comes out with, he puts the Balloon Man's head on like a robot zombie, I guess, and makes it look like a Tool album art inlay a little bit, which I found amusing. But that's all that was he just wanted to make it I wanted it to look a little bit more professional and kind of a humorous Tool album art parody, because I've always liked Tool's album art. And but ultimately, no, there's no grand meaning to the album art whatsoever. It's just something that I thought would look amusing